I get it when a friend is about to drop a few $100 on an air compressor. The first thing they ask is, will this actually do what I need? Or am I just buying a noisy box that will sit idle most of the week? I've been in that spot more than once, watching a buddy set up a new tire inflation station in his garage and wondering if the big metal tank he's eyeing is really worth the space it will take. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The hesitation comes from two angles: the upfront cost and the risk of ending up with a unit that either can't keep up with demand or ends up being more of a hassle than a help. Air compressors aren't one-size-fits-all. In the hobby shop world, you can get a 2-gallon portable pump that's fine for occasional nail gun work. But as soon as you start talking about running a spray gun for automotive paint, inflating multiple truck tires, or powering a set of impact wrenches back-to-back, the tank size, flow rate, and duty cycle become the make-or-break factors. That's why the VEVOR 80-gallon model shows up a lot in forums for small business owners. It sits in that sweet spot where you have enough stored air to keep tools running without the compressor whining every few seconds. Yet it's still marketed as a quiet unit compared to the industrial beast you see on factory floors. So, who actually benefits from an 80-gallon, 145 PSI, oil-free compressor? If you run a dedicated workshop that sees daily tire inflation jobs, frequent paint spraying, or you have a fleet of pneumatic tools that you use for a few hours each day, the large tank is a real time saver. Imagine a weekend car restoration project where you need to sand, prime, and spray paint a whole vehicle. With a smaller 30-gallon tank, you'd hear the motor kicking back on every few minutes, dropping the pressure and forcing you to pause. The VEVOR's 80-gallon reservoir holds enough air to finish an entire paint job without that dip, meaning the motor runs at a steadier speed, stays cooler, and you get a smoother finish. That's a tangible benefit you can feel in the workshop, not just a number on a spec sheet. Another practical win is the oil-free pump design. Traditional oil-lubricated compressors need regular oil changes, a Messier maintenance routine, and a bit of technical know-how to keep the pump happy. The VEVOR's oil-free cylinder means you can skip those quarterly oil checks, which is a relief if you're more of a set-it-and-forget-it kind of person. For a shop that runs multiple shifts, that reduced maintenance translates directly into more uptime. You're not pulling the unit apart every few months to change oil. You just keep the tank topped up and the hose plugged into the next tool. Now for the drawbacks, because no product is perfect. First, the unit is built for a 220-volt, single-phase supply. Most residential homes in the U.S. have only 110-volt outlets in the garage, so you'll either need to have a qualified electrician run a dedicated 220V line or look for a transformer solution, which adds extra cost and installation time. If you're renting a space or your garage's electrical panel is already maxed out, that becomes a serious obstacle. Second, despite the quiet marketing, the compressor still puts out a noticeable hum around 70 decibels at full load. In a tightly packed shop, that's fine, but if you share the space with a home office or a family room, the noise can be a distraction. It's quieter than a typical industrial unit, but you shouldn't expect whisper-quiet operation. Weight and footprint are also practical concerns. The 80-gallon tank, plus the motor and frame, tips the scales at roughly 250 pounds. Moving it once it's installed is a two-person job, and the footprint takes up a good chunk of floor space. If you have a compact garage or you need to store other equipment alongside the compressor, you'll have to plan the layout carefully. Some users have turned the tank on its side to save width, but that's a workaround, not a design feature. From a value perspective, the price point lands in the mid-range for this capacity. Compared to a similar-sized oil-lubricated unit, you're paying a bit extra for the oil-free convenience and the advertised lower noise level. If you factor in the time saved on oil changes and the reduced risk of pump wear, the total cost of ownership evens out nicely for a shop that runs the machine several hours a day. For a hobbyist who only inflates a couple of bike tires on weekends, that same price would feel steep because the tank's capacity would never be fully utilized. Let's talk about real-world use cases. One scenario I've seen is a tire shop that services both passenger cars and light truck fleets. They hook the compressor to a set of quick connect hoses and a portable tire inflator. And because the tank holds 80 gallons, they can inflate a full set of truck tires each.